Animal Crossing has traditionally been a series where many of your decisions are final. However, with the ability to decide the placement of shops, homes, and projects, the ability to relocate many of them, and the new terraforming mechanic, New Horizons gives players more freedom than ever before. That said, there are still a variety of things which will remain permanent on your island which you may be interested in resetting for. Re-rolling for? I'm Johnny of Club Knox, and this is my co-host, Gianni.
Kia ora.
Oh yeah, sweet as. Let's talk about all permanent decisions and features in New Horizons as of patch 1.1.4.
At the start of a new game, you'll be asked your name and birthday. A warning appears in both cases stating that this cannot be changed later.
The game does not provide a warning for this next one, but it seems your choice of either the northern or southern hemisphere cannot be changed later. While you can still manipulate seasons by time traveling, you will always experience summer, for example, from June to August if you choose northern hemisphere, and you will always experience winter in those months if you choose southern. It's possible a future update may allow you to change hemispheres, but as of patch 1.1.4, it remains unchangeable. In fact, any of the features we discussed today may change with future updates, so be sure to stay up to date with new patch information.
The first player to arrive in the island will be given the title Resident Representative, which cannot be changed. In addition, that player will be given the Resident Rep stamp in their passport. While this isn't an issue if you're playing single player, if you're bad at sharing, like Johnny, this may become a problem.
Hey, I'm a great sharer.
I'm just saying sometimes—
It's my turn to talk now. I've been waiting all this time.
Case in point.
You just keep interrupting me, and anyway, to go into more detail, if you're going to share a single island with others in your household, the additional player characters will be severely limited in what they can do compared to the Resident Rep. For example, only the Resident Rep is able to progress the storyline, decide when and where to build and place structures such as shops, villager houses, and bridges, relocate said structures, or even directly donate the initial creatures necessary to unlock the museum.
There are a few more restrictions too, but let's go into more detail about that at a later time. For now, let's focus on permanent features of the map selection. With the ability to terraform, the map selection screen has never looked so not intimidating. Let's go through each part of the map one by one and explain the permanent features of each.
Alright, let's start with the outer part of the island, the beach. The beach is essentially untouchable. There is a one-tile grass ring around the beach that cannot be terraformed in any way, including the peninsula of grass that stretches out over the sand. This means the beach will always remain in the same shape and size as the one you first select on your map. You are unable to place paths down on the beach area, although you are able to place your home as well as display furniture and custom designs there.
The beach also contains several rocks which can vary in shape, size, placement, and amount. While resource-providing rocks on your island can be destroyed and will respawn the next day, the beach rocks cannot be changed in any way.
Don't forget about the secret beach to the north of each map. Although the rock and sand structure of each of these mini beaches is the same for each island, they differ in their placement being more eastward, westward, or Squidward.
Here, please hit me as hard as you can.
Likewise, the Dodo Airlines building is always to the south of your island, but differs in that it can be more to the east or west depending on your map choice. In addition, there is a wooden pier that can be located either on the southwest or southeast side of the island, which can't be moved.
While the rivers of your maps can be completely terraformed later in the game, the river mouths cannot. The terraform limit is indicated by the rock seen at the bottom of the river. The mouths can be located in 3 different patterns: west and south, double south, and east and south. Resident services in the surrounding plaza will always be between the 2 river mouths, since crafting the vaulting pole to cross the river is part of the tutorial.
Keep in mind that all houses and shops, including your own, can be relocated later in the game for a fee. However, the plaza center and resident services, both tent and building, cannot be moved, as well as the Dodo Airport.
Dodo Airport? More like, can't transport.
Ignore.
Resident services? More like...
The different shades of green in the map correspond to different levels of cliffs, where the darkest green is the lowest level and the lightest is the highest. These cliffs, as well as the river shape and individual ponds, can all be terraformed later, so they should be given less thought when choosing your map.
Before departing to the island, Timmy and Tommy will ask you a hypothetical question. What's one thing you would bring to a deserted island? Unsurprisingly, many players speculated what impact this could have later on, due to the tradition of the Animal Crossing series to ask seemingly frivolous questions which end up actually influencing the game. New Horizons is no exception, and your answer to this question has a massive impact on your experience later on. Just kidding. This is a completely hypothetical question and has absolutely no bearing on the gameplay whatsoever. It's probably just a little callback to previous titles. That said, your answer is permanent, even if it doesn't actually affect anything.
Finally, there are a couple more permanent features that you are only able to see once you arrive on the island. First, there are 4 possible Dodo Airlines colors, which can't be modified later.
Did you know there was originally a 5th color, teal, but it was only spotted extremely briefly in the 2019 E3 Treehouse Live video? However, it appears to have been removed from the final game. The other colors are as follows: a nice shade of pumpkin orange, a happy and bright yellow, an adventurous lime green, and finally there's blue.
Whoa, what's with that tone towards blue?
I don't know. I guess it's just with all the blue water and sky, it doesn't really stand out that much, so it's objectively the worst. Why, are you going for blue?
Oh no, not at all. It's yellow for me. I just thought you said if something is objectively the worst, that makes it objectively the best?
And remember, pears are objectively the worst, which makes them objectively the best. It's team pears for me. You know what? You're right.
So you're going for blue then?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm going to reset for lime green so it matches my objectively bad pears.
Fair enough. Speaking of pears, aren't native fruits permanent as well?
Yes, that's right. You get a stamp in your passport depending on what fruit is native to your island. You could find apples, cherries, oranges, peaches, and of course, the universally loved pears.
Just ignore him. He's trying to start a war. So what happens when you have a specific native fruit?
In New Horizons, as of patch 1.1.4, nothing really. It's the first fruit that can be found naturally growing on your island, and the one you'll most commonly find on mystery tours. While rarer, you can still receive different fruits and grow them on your island. For example, you may find other fruit in the mail, on mystery islands, or receive them directly from other players. Aside from that and the stamp in your passport, your native fruit can be sold in a town that has a different native fruit for 500 bells, while it would only be worth 100 on your own island.
For the first time, there appears to be a native flower as well.
That's right. This is essentially the same as native fruit, except there's no passport stamp for native flowers. You can still grow other flower types by obtaining them from mystery islands and other players, but only your native flower will be growing when you first land on your island. Also, there are some reports that certain hybrid flower colors can only be grown on an island of that native flower type, and that the traditional rules for growing hybrids of a native flower don't apply. This is another topic we'll cover in more detail at a later time.
Though buildings such as homes, the museum, the shop, and the Able Sisters boutique can all be moved freely on the island, once they are built, they can never be removed entirely. Animal villagers and players are the exception, as their tents or homes will be removed if they leave the island.
That's right. So you're stuck with the building on your island once it's constructed, if, for whatever reason, you want to get rid of it later. This is also true of building upgrades. Once you upgrade from a tent to a home, increase the number of rooms or the room size, or upgrade other buildings on the island, there will be no reverting it back to its original state. It may be useful to keep your home a specific size if you want to decorate it as something in particular.
That's everything permanent I could find in New Horizons. Do you have anything to add before we wrap up?
Just a little bit of speculation. You see, New Leaf introduced the perfect fruit, which is a rare, enhanced version of your native fruit. This could also be planted to grow a perfect fruit tree, so long as it was the same type of fruit as your native one. However, perfect fruits are currently not available in New Horizons at all. In fact, aside from the 5 traditional starting fruits, there are only coconuts. That means bananas, mangoes, persimmon, lychees, lemons, and durians were all cut. No, not that kind of cut.
That's a lot of cut fruit. Is there any indication they'll return in a future update?
Not that I've found, but considering that's half the fruit removed, even more if you include grapes from Pocket Camp, and perfect fruit were very popular in New Leaf, I would be extremely surprised if they didn't make a return in a future update. That would mean that your native fruit would once again have a purpose aside from just being a stamp in your passport, because you would likely only be able to grow your native perfect fruit.
That makes sense. And what about native flowers?
That's a good question. Since we haven't seen native flowers before, it's hard to say if we'll get perfect versions of those as well, or the current mechanics of their hybrid flower creation is the only difference they'll receive. In addition, there used to be different patterns of grass, triangles, circles, and squares, which was traditionally another permanent feature of your town. However, only triangles are available in New Horizons. I see this less likely to return because the grass is already laid out all over your island. It would be strange to add different shapes and then retroactively change some of the player's island patterns. However, perhaps it could be unlockable as some other form of customization. Only time will tell. That's all I have for now.
I can't wait to see what all the future updates will bring to the game. The developers have stated that they want to keep New Horizons fresh for years to come, so I hope that means the game will receive the support it deserves. With that, we'll leave you with this.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. See you!